Hi, this is Max Sterling. Today we're going to be installing some parts on a 99 Trans Am that I have. It's an LS1 M6. For those of you that don't know what the heck I'm talking about, that means it's got a 350 Chevy engine, the same one that they put in Corvettes during that year, and it has a 6-speed manual transmission in it. What I'm going to be doing today, because I bought this car and I got a really good deal on it, it has a lot of issues. Now the car runs fine, it looks okay. You know, it's one of those, 50 feet or 50 mile per hour type cars, but it's not bad. That's why I bought it. So, but it does need some TLC. So, a couple of things on the center console. The ashtray lid was broke, which is pretty common on these cars. The shifter boot ring, the plastic part that goes around the inside, was broken, and also the shifter just doesn't seem right, and I'll show you what I mean in a minute or two. So what I decided to do was go with a Pro 5.0 shifter for this car, something called a loose short stick, which is a short shifter stick, but a specific type. And I've installed these before in LS1 cars, so that shouldn't be a big deal. Haven't done the boot shifter ring or the ashtray lid before though, but I'm going to show you what I did for those and how I got them to work. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. Okay, so when you first come out to your car, you're going to have your center console. Now I've already loosened this up because I'm not going to bore you with me unscrewing bolts, but basically in 6-speed, you have your center console. Now I have traction control in mine for some reason, so that has to be removed as well. So what you're looking at is your center console. So what you do is pop up in your arm here. Inside you got 2 screws right here. Now I've already removed them. Not sure what size they are, but I'm sure you can figure it out. And then from there, this basically just comes out. Now you would have to normally undo this shifter boot. It's held in with some retainer clips that you'd have to get out. Probably the best thing to do would be to just unscrew your shifter knob here, but like I said, my car's a little bit funky, so I don't have to do that. Mine actually just pulls right out. So yeah, that's why we're replacing this. That's not really supposed to happen. So from there, pull out your shifter boot, and then this should just come off. Now you're gonna have your cigarette lighter and your traction control if you have it. If it's convertible, you might have a convertible switch there as well. But basically, the cigarette lighter portion, there's just a clip. You can just push it in, it comes right out. Traction control and the other things are the same way. They're just clipped in. Just use a flathead screwdriver and pry them out. Take those, get them out of the way. And then here's your shifter. So this is what we're replacing here. Now, you may have some spare change or stuff in here. I remember on the last car I did, I lost a 50 Action Express down in there from my Desert Eagle, and never knew where it went, so I was always driving around with a freaking 50 cal slug down in here. And actually it wasn't a slug, it was a hollow point. And then when I finally did the shifter, I found it, thank goodness, because that made me nervous as hell. Every time I'd slam that shifter back, I was just waiting to hit the firing pin and see what happened. Yeah, not one of the brightest moments in my life, but, shit happens. So what you're going to do with this is you got some screws down in here. So, not that one, this one. So you're going to need to take those out, and there's a couple of them all around here. So you'll need to take those out, and then this rubber boot here will come off. You can see I'm wearing gloves. I mean, this is totally funky in here. I mean, if you don't care about getting crap all over your hands, I mean, that's cool. You do whatever you want. But I'm not trying to really get whatever this crap is in here. I mean, the dude I bought this car off of, this car, I've had it for like 3 or 4 months, and I bombed it inside with Febreze. I actually poured an entire bottle of Febreze in here. Have friggin' those old pine trees like hidden everywhere, and this car still smells like weed. The dude who owned this car must have seriously smoked weed in here every day for ever since this car is produced, because it still smells like weed. It is ridiculous. So I don't know what the hell is all around here. I don't want to touch any of it, so I'm using gloves. So that's kind of where we're at. And we'll go ahead and unscrew this. I don't think you need to see that. In order to get this boot off, I'm also going to have to take this off here, which is just these 2 big bolts here. Now, if you're doing a loose stick or something like that, it comes with bolts, so you don't need to worry about, you know, losing any of that stuff. I mean, I don't think you really should lose it, but if you do, who cares? You'll have new ones to put in there, and that's what I'm going to do. So we'll cut back here after I take this out. All right, so this is a loose short stick in comparison to the standard shifter. Now, I didn't have a chance to get a shifter knob, so I'm probably going to have to just use the stock one here. But that's fine for now. I think I'm going to get a pistol grip later. Now, as far as the shifter itself, when you get it, it'll come in a box like this. They always have for as long as I know. And you want to make sure it's the right one. So these ones work on 93 and up Camaro and Firebirds, Trans Ams, as long as it's a 6-speed. So when you get it, it's going to come also. Jeez. With the stick attached to it, but I mean, you can pretty much just throw that away. I mean, the stick that's on there may be better than the standard one. It may not be. I don't really know. But you're going to want to get a short throw shifter. So these are really nice shifters. Really do what they're supposed to. And I've had no complaints with them whatsoever. Actually, I'm thinking that this shifter stick's probably better than the stock one. Here's that shifter boot ring. Yeah, so it's supposed to look, you know, something like that. But, yeah, clearly you can see it's a bunch of pieces on the ashtray lid. Excuse the panning. These break the little arms down in here, and they don't really work anymore. They'll lean off to one side. So what I did, but you can see on this side that it's just a little plastic knob that goes through the hole right here. But on this side, all I did was take a small screw, drill a hole. Now you have to be real careful because you only get one shot at this, and then widen this up over here a little bit, and then just put a screw through it. I mean, there's probably better ways to do that. You could probably put a bolt on it, but if you don't want to, I mean, I don't smoke. This lid's going to stay closed. I will probably literally never open it. So for me, it's perfectly fine. If you are a smoker, you may want to opt for the actual lid, but that's up to you. So anyways, we'll go back to the car. We'll pull this boot off of there, show what that looks like inside, and we'll proceed. All right, so this is what you get after you take the boot off. So I removed the boot here, and mine only had 3 screws in. I'm not sure how many screws it's supposed to have in it, but mine only had 3. It had 1 at the bottom, and it had 2 up at the top. And then, like I said, you've got to take this off of here first. It's just 2 bolts. I used a 14 millimeter socket. I'm pretty sure they're not 14 millimeter. They may be 13, but 14 fit on there. They weren't super tight, so they came off real easy. And then, of course, you have your screws that held the boot in there. Now, when you do this, you want to make sure the car's in neutral. You want to make sure your parking brake is set. My parking brake actually doesn't do anything because it's burned out. Like I said, I got this car cheap, but you know, whatever. I pulled it up anyhow. But this is what you got. So this is your shifter. Take a second to look at your pretty torque arm down in there, BMR with an energy suspension mount. If you know what I'm talking about, then you know what you're looking at. You could also take a second to clean this. I mean, it's filthy as crap in my car. Your car's probably got some crap that's popped up there off the road as well. I want to say I found probably about 85 cents in change. Not too bad. No surprises though. But anyways, we got 4 bolts on here. 1, 2, 3, 4. All you got to do is pull those out. Anyone that ever tells you got to take off this whole center console to do this, yeah, they're an idiot. You just got to pop this top part off, man. This boot you have to pull out. I mean, you're going to have to get your hand under and pull it up and out. Make sure you don't rip out any of your wiring harnesses here, but that's pretty much it. All right, so you take the 4 bolts out, and by the way, all these bolts are 13 millimeter. So the 2 that go on there, those 2 are 13, and also these 4 are 13 millimeter. I mean, remember, this car was built in Canada, so I mean, it is what it is. But anyways, you get that off. All you got to do just pull it off. It's that simple. I mean, this is going to be, you know, cruddy and funky, so whatever, you just set that somewhere. And then this is pretty much what you're looking at. Now, this is a good opportunity to clean up around the top here, because we're going to need to make a gasket on there with some RTV sealant. So we're going to beat it along these 4 edges here, but not get any in the threads. So I'm going to take a second and clean this up. If you have to, you can use a razor blade. If not, you might be able to just wipe it off. This looks like the seal's non-existent, so I think probably just a paper towel is going to wipe that off. But if you have to, you can use a razor blade to run along there and cut that off. And just trying to get any goop down inside there. If you do, make sure you clean it out. Okay, so I got this all cleaned up. Used some paper towels, used a couple Q-tips. I mean, you might have a better way of doing it, but I cleaned it up real well. And then I used a razor blade to get some of that remaining gasket. The top part of this, you're gonna just take some scissors, just cut through it, and then cut a circle around. I mean, you can, this is how I did it, so you can sort of see what I did here. And this is about the size that I took out. Now, it's really important that you get this right, because this needs to sit on here. But what you do is you're going to push this all down around this gold trim ring in here, because it needs to sit underneath of it, and it'll make a nice seal for you. I already tested that. This size hole is perfect. You got to pull it and stretch it to get over these screws. I mean, you can take those out, but if you pull it and stretch it, it goes over and forms real nice and tight right underneath this lip here. So that's how that's supposed to go. So you're going to want to take off the shifter stick, cut that off, and then in a minute or two, I'm going to be putting the loose short stick on here. And then after that, we're going to be putting it in the car. Okay, so I got the gasket sealant on there in 4 lines, none in the bolt holes. It's not real pretty, but it should get the job done. And then I'm going to put some thread locker in there, just so that doesn't come loose in the 4 bolt holes, and we'll put the thread locker. Now, the Power Tower 5.0 comes with these new bolts. You're going to have to use them because they're a lot longer than the old bolts, and they're stronger. So you're definitely going to want to install those. So I spared you a bunch of the boring steps, but here's what you have. So after you lay down the gasket maker beads there on there, you're going to go ahead and put this in here. You have 4 bolts to hold it down, just like before. Now, contrary to what you may think, you want the orientation of this for the Power Tower to be facing away from you so you can't read it. So that's how it actually goes in here. So the longer end goes towards the front of the car, and then the shorter end faces towards you. Now, this bolt here is going to give you trouble. I tightened it down almost completely by hand, and then just used a socket to get it the rest of the way. There's no torque specifications, but these bolts pretty much just go as snug as you can get them, but you know, don't break one off, so don't get too crazy. Now, as far as on here, you're going to want to note the orientation of the stick compared to how the tower is. So you're going to want to have the stick mounted on this side, okay, with the bend in it coming towards you. It's hard to see the bend in it, but you're going to want it coming towards you. Now, the other thing that you need to do is set the lash on it, which is easy. So you're going to want to go ahead and, if you don't have your parking brake set, make sure that that's set. And then all you need to do is just shift it into first. And then when it's into first, get this bolt back here. Sorry, this bolt here, and you're going to tighten it up snug against that. And then you're going to shift down into second and make sure this bolt is snug up against there. Now, I've already done the adjustment on here. And you also want to make sure all this baby batter in here stays in here. That's not packing grease or something. That's your lubricant, so that needs to stay in there. So don't mess with that baby batter in there. You're going to make sure it's in there. Now, the instructions, I believe, say the bolt off 1 full turn. So we can see that when this is in gear here, that bolt is right on it. So we want to back it out just a little bit.
so that it's not banging into it. And then you'll just set this lock nut right here, and that's it. Okay, so I have the lashes all set on here, so now I can shift all my gears. So that's pretty much all there is to it. These bolts are, I believe, 13 millimeter also, so everything is nice. It kind of keeps in consistency, so you don't need a lot of different wrenches. And then the next step, like I said, is just to squeeze this boot back on. I washed this off a little bit because it was so filthy, but we'll squeeze that back on there and show you what that looks like. So hopefully up until now everything's gone well for you. With a little bit of patience and time, you can get this shifter boot back down. Lining up these screws is kind of a hassle. You also want to make sure that the boot goes back underneath your carpet and underneath your padding as well, because if not, stuff can creep up through there. Now, if your car's a beauty show queen and you don't drive it in the rain or the snow or anything, then it probably doesn't really matter. You can get a little sloppy if you want, but if you drive in any sort of weather, you want to make sure that that thing's on there so it forms as good of a seal at least as you can get with it. You might want to try to put some extra screws in if you want, but I mean, that should keep it okay. I mean, you got the transmission to stop most of the stuff from splattering up through here, and that's pretty much it. Tuck your wires back in here, and you should be basically all set to go. Now what I'm going to do, and this is bendable also, it's like metal inside, so you can bend it and twist it to make it fit, but a little bit of patience, a really big screwdriver to pry the carpet up and run along the sides will go a long way for you. But the key word is patience. Don't accidentally break any of your tabs on here, because then you're going to be doing even more work. And that's pretty much it. Okay, so here's everything put back together. So we got the traction control piece back in there, circuit layer plugged in, we got the shifter back, we have a fixed ashtray lid, put the screw in. Unfortunately I lost one. If anyone knows what size screw this is or where I can get one, please let me know. So basically no more of this bouncing and buffeting around. Got the shifter. Nice, firm, solid shifts. You can see that now, instead of this boot being up in the air erect, you know, it's all sunken down in, which is cool. So I'm gonna go take this for a drive. Even though you got to let the gasket seal for 24 hours, I'm gonna take it for a spin real quick just to make sure that everything works. So some final thoughts on this would be, if you have T-tops, take them out, give you more working room. Definitely put down your windows so you have more space to do this crap. Make sure you have all your wrenches together. You're only going to need a couple different things. It's a 13 millimeter and I don't know, it's a 13 millimeter, I think a 10 millimeter, and then you're going to need the hex to take the shifter knob off the Pro 5.0. As far as the ashtray fix, that seems good. The metal ring I ordered for the boot on here, yeah, that left a lot to be desired. To be honest, very unhappy with it. The instructions are garbage. I figure out on my own, but it seems like the clips on it aren't long enough to clip onto where they need to go. So I'm not sure if the dude sent me like the wrong one, or like one for like a 93 to like 97 model and not a 98 to 02, or if he sent me just something completely different. But I mean, as you can see, I mean, it is in there. It's a heck of a lot better than it was. I mean, it seems fairly firm. As long as I don't tug on it, I don't think I'm gonna have a problem. But I mean, if you might accidentally tug on that or something, I'm sure it'll pop right off. And having this console off of here made it easy to install, but if you didn't take the console off, I think it'd be a real pain in the butt to install. So that, I would probably just get the plastic boot if I had to do again, or if not, order from someone else online, or see if I can make my own, fab something up myself. But that's pretty much it. So as far as final thoughts here, I think that about covers it. We'll go take it for a ride. I've had these in these cars before. I know that they're awesome shifters, so I don't think I'm gonna have any problem with it. And we'll see how I can do at the track if I ever make it out there. But definitely a good mod to do. super simple. Loose short stick will run you about $52 shipped. The Pro 5.0 you can get on eBay for about $169. So I mean, a little over 200. You're making an awesome adjustment to your 6-speed. Definitely suggest this combo. Not sure what other people are running, but this is an awesome combo. Even though the Pro 5.0 is more of a Mustang thing, they work great on these cars too. Just make sure you get the Lose short stick. There's a lot of other short stick shifters out there, but this Lose one, awesome stuff. Been around for a long time too. Anyways, that's all I got for you. Hope this was informational. I did some on and off, stopping of this and that. I would say overall, this probably, if you knew what you're doing, probably take you maybe about an hour. If you're new to it and you just want to make sure you do everything exactly correct, maybe like an hour and a half, 2 hours, but still, easy afternoon job. You can have a buddy come over, you can do both your cars at the same time. It's real simple stuff. Just make sure you set your lash right on those screws that are in there. If you don't, you're not going to be able to shift gears properly. And then just make sure the orientation's correct. Make sure that the power tower is pointing that way so that you can't read it from sitting in the driver's seat. And just make sure you don't lose any screws or bolts going in. Use all the new bolts that they give you. Don't reuse any of the old stuff because it's not going to be long enough and it's not going to be strong enough. I made that mistake on a torque arm that I put on. I put a BMR torque arm on here, put the original bolts back in, didn't buy the hardware kit with it. Got probably about 50 miles out of it and the bolts fell out. Torque arm almost fell off. That could have caused me some serious issues, but luckily it didn't. I was very close to home and I wasn't racing. So I limped it home, bought the bolts, shoved them in, put some thread locker on there, haven't had a problem since. So don't skimp on the hardware. It's very important to use what they give you. Like I said, you can do the loose short stick on its own. If you already have the factory Hurst from WS6, then you're probably cool with just the stick. If you want to go a little bit further though, I suggest getting one of these shifters and putting it in. Makes a big difference over stock. All right, that's all I got to say. If you like the video, please like it, subscribe to the channel. I'll have a lot of different car things on here probably, but I'll also have maybe some workout stuff, probably some stuff on modding Nerf guns, and other things as well. I don't know if you saw my workbench in there. I had all kinds of crap laying around. I have a computer. I'm making a custom case on, putting a plasma ball in it. I have a bunch of Nerf guns I'm working on ripping apart, and just a ton of other crap. Like I said, I have a lot of hobbies. So this is sort of my miscellaneous channel. So if you want to learn a bunch of miscellaneous stuff, great. If you happen to have a Trans Am, then you're in good place because I know a lot about these cars. I've ripped them apart and put them back together again. So thanks for watching and have a good rest of your day.